Hey guys, Troy here. Just a couple minutes to show you one of some of my more recent acquisitions and to introduce you to a pen that, I'll be honest with you, though I can find a lot of them online, I have not been able to find much information about them, although I've been using them for quite a while. The Waterman Forum. Now that I've got more than one of them sitting here in front of me, is it Fora or is it Forum? Well, I checked Merriam-Webster's dictionary, and guess what? Either one is appropriate. So it can be a fora, meaning all three or multiple, or forums, plural. So wanted to share with you these. This one happens to belong to my wife. Very interesting color and pattern, and that's one of the things that the forum was known for, is being available in a wide variety of colors. Some more formal than others, some more fun than others, some more plain than others, but I've got one in olive and one in a darker green, all depending upon what your taste is. They have some that look like something you would use in business, some for knock around and fun, just to have a pretty color. Now the Forum is still fairly inexpensive, which is why I've got three of them here in front of me. And to be honest with you, some sellers are trying to get up to $100 for them, depending upon the pattern and how it's rare or it's scarce. Well, no, not necessarily. I mean, I got this particular one here in from Romania, and with shipping it was under 20 bucks. I mean, come on. So the Forum, it is a cartridge converter pen. It does take a standard Waterman cartridge, not standard international, but it's not like a CF cartridge, so it's not as old as some of the old cartridge fillers, but it takes a regular old Waterman proprietary cartridge. So it's a fairly slender pen. As you can tell, they're all the same exact pattern as far as its manufacture. It's just different pattern as far as its coloring and different nibs. I've got two of them sitting here with a medium nib and one of them sitting here with a fine nib. So on all of these you're going to find it's a slip cap. And then you've got a fairly colorful on this one section. And it's a decent size section, for my fairly large fingers. It's a decent grip on it, and they all have a very similar nib. They're all pretty much the same. And I'll show you some more close-up pics of that. So then you open it up, you unscrew and take off the barrel, and this one you can see that I've got a long Waterman cartridge, and it was made to be able to accept the long Waterman cartridge just fine. There's a blue ink in here for that. Now, can you put a converter in? Yes, you can put in a Waterman converter, which I have done in this one right here. And you can, I actually literally ran out of ink on this one. I was writing a letter to a friend, and this one ran out while I was trying to actually write a letter and finish it. Nope, couldn't happen, so I had to pick up and use a different pen as well. So this one here also has a Waterman converter put into it. They all have the bifurcated Waterman clip, and you can see it's got the W on the clip for the Waterman logo. And on top, not everyone has the Waterman W on top, but this one has a very nicely made Waterman W. This one, not quite as nice in that gouge in it. That's my doing, so it didn't come that way. But this one is just plain, depending upon the design pattern of the coloration of the pen. Now, it is, like I said, they're lower end pens, but it's not the lowest. I've got some Waterman GIFs, some children's pens here in my collection. It's got a fairly standard looking nib on these. These usually run the least amount of money, but also they usually were in the European market rather than in the American market. And I do believe I've had to have pens like this shipped to me from the Netherlands as opposed to having those available readily here in the American market. So all these are GIFs, and those are the low-end pens, and quite honestly they write like they're lower-end pens. Here I believe is the Reflex, and this also is a lower-end Waterman pen made just a little bit differently with a semi-hooded nib. But I gotta be honest with you, out of those ones there, although they're functional and they're okay and they're reliable, I like these a whole lot better. So I'll tell you what, you know, they're not being manufactured anymore. I'm pretty sure, because I haven't been able to find any data. And I did a lot of searching just trying to find the history of the Waterman Forum, and I haven't been able to find anything specific to it. But my understanding and my guess is that these came out in the 80s and into the 90s. And I assume that they're not in production anymore, and I rarely find these being offered by American sellers anymore as well. I usually find these in from European sellers. So let me give you a little bit of information on the pen itself, and then we'll do a couple of quick writing samples before I got to move on to something else. Alright, this is my Forum that I know I've got inked up with that Waterman blue cartridge, and I'll show you that they do actually write fairly well. A Waterman Forum. And this one has a medium nib and has the Waterman cartridge. And this is a very, very smooth pen. It's got just a little bit of variation, but no matter what way you draw with this thing, this particular pen stays smooth. And I gotta be honest with you, it's smoother than this one was. This one was a fine nib, and although this one actually worked fairly well, and it still was just a hair on the scratchy side. I took a little bit of micro mesh to it, and it started to write a whole lot better. It didn't take long, just a few seconds with micro mesh, and suddenly this was writing a whole lot better. So the fine nib actually wrote fairly well, but this one here has been reliable. All of these Forums have been very reliable. Every single time I've gone to use them and pick them up, as long as they had ink in them, they did very, very well. My wife's version right here in that paisley print. So here's another Forum. This one also in a medium nib. And even says medium, still had the sticker on it when I got this particular pen. But I can tell you that this dark green one actually writes a little smoother than this one. So the Waterman is not, on this particular one, it's a little different. Alright, this one is a little different than this nib here. But it is still a nice writing pen, and it is still reliable. It is acceptably smooth, just not quite as smooth as this one. But overall, number one, because of the girly look of this pen, my wife loves it, and it's one of those that she asks me to keep inked at all times. And as a matter of fact, what I did put in here for ink was a Pelikan 4001 Violet, and gives you a little better idea about how that ink actually looks, because it looks a lot darker. It looks almost black when you go to write with it. You smear it a little bit, you can actually see that it is indeed a violet, because it's a fairly wet writer. So I gotta be honest with you folks, you know, for a fairly low-end pen, not the lowest end pen that Waterman ever had, and a little narrower than I like, but still a darn good writer. You know, a Forum is something I keep in my collection, and there's a reason why we have 3 of them in the household. You know, obviously I bought my wife one, but there's a reason why I just picked up a second one here recently after having owned one for a while and used it for a while. So yeah, we're a Waterman Forum or Waterman Fora or Waterman Forums household. So you can probably find these on Etsy or on eBay. Just keep looking and you can find a good deal on them, and hopefully especially the medium nibs would work very well for you. So even though they're out of production, they are still readily available, the Waterman Forum.